Good morning, welcome back to Bar JR Farm and Ranch. Today we're going to be making pepper jelly, just in time for the holiday. So come on, let's get started. I'm going to show you how. Alright, so today I'm going to share my favorite red pepper jelly recipe. So I've laid out all the ingredients, actually got the amounts ready to go. I've got my lid staying warm, I've got the jars in here heating up, and I've got the pot ready to boil all of our ingredients. Here's my food processor. I'll be using the shredding blade, and all the peppers will get shredded and then they will get drained so that they're not too wet. So I think we should get started. And okay, so I've got the shredder blade in the food processor. Now, I did not seed the jalapeno peppers, so this is going to be a spicy one. If you want it less spicy, you just take the seeds out. So this is actually 2 medium-sized peppers here, red peppers. So I think we have too many big pieces in here. So we're just going to hand chop these. Okay, I've recruited Santa's little helper here, and he's helping to get these things chopped up to a great consistency. That food processor didn't seem to do them as correctly as I thought it should. So he's working hard at it.
Now, no matter when you're seeing this, right now we're doing this for Christmas, and we've used a lot more red in here. And that red and green mix, it will be just a great little Christmas gift that you can't buy in the stores. It just will be something special for your family and friends.
And then we're going to actually put these in this colander and strainer. We don't want too much liquid left in them because a lot of times it won't set up. So if you're having trouble with your jelly setting up, it might be because there's too much moisture in the peppers when you start. All right. Put these in the pan. Put these on the stove. All right. And we're going to get going here. So now you add all the ingredients except the Certo to the end. So we're adding the vinegar, the salt, and the sugar. So here's our vinegar. So we've got 1.5 cups of vinegar here. Put that in. We have 5.5 cups of sugar. So this can vary. Some recipes are up to 6 cups. So we settled on 5 cups. 5.5 cups. And a teaspoon of salt. That's the 1.5 teaspoons. Okay. Teaspoon of salt. Okay, now we're going to mix this up, and then this will actually boil. Bring it to a boil for 10 minutes. Okay, it looks like it's been boiling now for almost 10 minutes. And once that's done, we're going to drop the Certo in and boil for 1 more minute. So let's get our jars ready to be filled. Okay, so now we're adding the Certo, which is just a pectin, and we will boil for 1 more minute. And this will be what helps it to set. Okay, the jar is set out there ready to go. Hey Google, stop.
You just asked about canceling a timer. There are actually none set at the moment.
Okay. Okay, that's why you keep your jars really, really hot. Otherwise, you would have total thermal shock right now with this going into cold jars. Okay, all right, so we've got all these filled with a 1/4 inch headspace, which is really important, and we do that like this. We measure it like that so that it's a 1/4 inch. You've got that, it gives you a 1/4 at the top. So there you go. So, yep, that's your 1/4. So that gives you a 1/4, and it's pretty important when you're canning. It helps it preserve properly by giving it the right amount of headspace, which is what's above the liquid. Now we're going to clean these off really good. You don't want anything to prevent that lid from sealing. We're going to grab us a lid. We've kept these really warm. Okay, let's get those on there. Okay. They're hot. They are hot. Just finger tight. You don't want to screw it down too hard. Just put it on there and tighten it. Finger tight. Finger tight, they call it. Okay, I'm using a steam canner. This is the same processing time as a water bath canner. However, very little water goes into a steam canner. You can see that the water just barely touches the bottom of the rack. So it doesn't take you any time at all to fill it, and it doesn't take you any time at all to heat it. This is the mark for us. We are below 1,000 feet. Consequently, that's my mark right there, right where it begins to touch the next color. And that's what I have to get it to before I start the processing time. Just like in a water bath canner, you don't start processing until the water starts boiling. This time you wait till the steam brings that gauge up to the appropriate, depending on your altitude, then you start water bath canning or steam canning. And this goes for 10 minutes for this particular recipe. They are hot. I'm going to pick them up with this. Okay, so my timer just went off. It's processed for 10 minutes at the appropriate mark on my steam bath canner. Remember, I'm at under 1,000 feet, so 10 minutes at the appropriate mark. Now, I don't remove this lid yet because it sits just like this for an additional 5 minutes. That's just part of the processing time. So 10 minutes cooking, turn off the heat, don't move it, and don't take off the lid. So in 5 more minutes, we're going to come back and take out our jars. So as I'm waiting for this to go its 5 extra minutes, I got to thinking about this being a nostalgic time. It's Christmas time, and you know, it's just everything, holidays, just makes you feel more emotional, I think, and more nostalgic. But I was thinking about first things, like my friend is dealing with a first Christmas and a first Thanksgiving without her husband who passed away, and broken relationships and all the things that as Christmas comes along, it seems like it amplifies those feelings of either happiness or maybe even sadness. So I was just thinking, if you're experiencing something for the first time, like not having your partner, not being with your family during this time, that you would just focus on the reason for the season and know that God loves you, and that I'm praying for all of you who watch these videos that you'll be encouraged. And I find this such a happy season, but I know a lot of people do not. It's a tough time. So just know that as you're watching this, you are prayed for and you are encouraged to really have a great Christmas season. And I hope you enjoy making pepper jelly. So let's get these jars out of here. And they are hot, hot, hot. We try and not tip them at all, even if there's water on the lids. Oh, hear them sealing? They're already sealing. Yep, that's a great sound to a canner right there. Love to hear that ping. See, that has water on top. I'm not going to tip that over at all. I'm going to wipe that off with a paper towel. It's pretty important that you don't disturb those. And you'll see that we have 6. It was actually supposed to give us 8. It all depends on the size of the pepper, the moisture in the pepper, and we squeeze a lot of moisture out because we want to make sure these set up really, really good. So you will always have a little bit difference. I always plan in for the maximum, which would have been 8, and now we have 6, which is great. So we let these set for 24 hours without disturbing. I'm going to wipe the water off of there. Pretty important that you don't disturb these once they come out of the canner for 24 hours. At least a minimum of 16 hours. Okay, now this is the next day. We've waited plenty of time to let these set up. 24 hours. And so now, here's what we do next. Take off the bands. You don't want to store these with the bands on them. These are completely sealed. You can't pull this lid off. That's how you know that's really sealed. But you don't want the band. The chances of it unsealing in the pantry are nil. However, it does happen. So if it does happen and this band is on, they can likely reseal. Then you won't know, was it a bad jar or a good jar? Like this, that seal, if it pops, it'll come off and you will see a spillover or it'll be moldy or whatever. It doesn't happen very often, but safety says don't store them with the bands on. Now when you go to give them away, obviously you'll put the band on and put a cute little tag on it. Right now I will go ahead and take a Sharpie and I will just label the top of these and I'll put what it is and the date processed, okay? And then later, if I'm gonna give them away though, I'm gonna make a cute little tag, which you can do with Avery labels or whatever. It looks really cute. Put a nice little label on there. So this one is the last one to give away for that year. So there you go. That's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, subscribe and like our videos and tune in. We're gonna keep doing more as long as we can. So happy homesteading. Thank you.